We're very excited to have this amazing group of people to discuss the issues of rising illiberalisms.
I'm Tracy Hall, Executive Director of the American Library Association.
And I'm Suzanne Nossel. I'm the CEO of PEN America.
I'm Amanda Williams. I'm a visual artist based here in Chicago.
I'm David French. I'm a Chicago law school dad, and I'm also a New York Times columnist.
So if you'd asked me 10 or 20 years ago, what's the chance that libraries would be at the front lines of the culture wars, I probably would have said there's not much chance of that.
So I think artists are always seeking to be truth tellers, but I think the strength and the courage to not be guided by cancel culture is going to be huge.
And so here we are today, right, where I would say that this is a McCarthy era on steroids, right? Because we are able to see especially a lot of copy and paste legislation. And we see what's happening now, especially censorship and book banning, as sort of like a lightning rod conversation. I think libraries are necessarily on the front lines because libraries are the most visited public service institution in the U.S. We have more public libraries alone than we have McDonald's, right? So we're talking about ubiquity, we're talking about access.
One of the core purposes of education is to prepare students to live in a pluralistic, often contentious society, okay? That is so important. So if your book decisions are designed to drain the pluralism from the place and drain the contention from the place, you're violating the sort of core principle of what education is.
It's when you believe in something, everybody around you believes in something, but you think there's a culture out there that is telling you no. And just on the basis of that abstraction, you're so intimidated that you pull back on a set of ideas. And, that to me is cancel culture.
And so we're seeing that more and more as we grow impatient with each other. There's no desire for dialogue because everybody just wants their own point to be heard. And you really see that we're at the fringes now of what's been evolving forever, but definitely in terms of modern times in the last 30 years, with people just really entrenched in what they believe in and feeling like not only is that the right way, that's the only way.
I believe passionately that lowering the barriers to voice for some need not mean raising them anew for others, and that if what we have is a more competitive landscape where everybody has a chance to vie and to get their story told, that benefits readers. But if we're creating new rules about who's in and who's out, that is to the detriment of readers. If some people feel constrained by virtue of their background, their race, their gender, their socioeconomic status, and don't feel like they can have a voice, then the marketplace for ideas is impoverished. Their voices are missing.
And I feel like this is a call for our time. There's a legal call and there's a cultural call. The legal call is to continue to defend the regime of liberty. The cultural call is to open our hearts. And why should we open our hearts in a time when we hate each other so much? Well, the American experiment is built around these sort of two core ideas about human beings. One is we are people of incalculable worth. Each one of us is of incalculable worth. So why wouldn't you want to defend the freedom of someone of incalculable worth or hear from them? Why wouldn't you want to hear from them? And the other one is we're all imperfect and fallen and flawed. And so why would any one of us think that we can decide what is the true and right speech for everyone else? We're far too flawed for that. We're far too imperfect.
Is there anything out there that gives you hope?
I'm always hopeful.
Most days I'm not so sure it's possible, but in these moments, these isolated moments of society and these ebbs and flows where we see our similarities, I think those are those moments that we as scholars, as thinkers, as makers should capitalize on to remind people, right?
Free expression is just, especially thinking about information and information theory, is that the first thing that you learn when you sit down in library school, like day one, second one, is that information wants to be free. It is in the nature of information to find an audience. That's just the nature. And so when I say that we will prevail, it is because in all societies, when information has been pushed, when access to knowledge has been pushed underground, people have found a way to preserve it and to disseminate it. This new forum and this opportunity is right on time